everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of the Earthborne Games Podcast. Wait, live stream? Oh. I don't think we're live streaming this. Let us know. Drop a comment if we're live, if this is live, guys.
What's Riverside just throwing a notification in your face while you're trying to do your show intro?
I don't know. Exactly. The software we use, Riverside, it's like constantly trying to up its game. Notifying me that we're live streaming for some reason. Giving me the option.
I guess it's a live recording.
It's a live.
Yes,
it says
you are alive, just in case you've forgotten.
Do you see that?
Wait, this isn't a recording?
We haven't quite recorded enough episodes yet, I think, to just let AI do it for us.
No, not yet.
Have it be convincing.
No. We got me, we got Evan, we got Andrew, and we got Maxine. Intro done. Nailed it. We're recording. We're recording live, not in front of a studio audience. Though we should sometime. What if we did this podcast like other podcasts do? Come see us live. Talk about books.
I think I'd need a trash can to vomit into out of stage fright.
I think we could probably do that. Like book a room at like out of the north or something. Have like 10 people in the audience.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Discord has a feature where you can like have a digital stage, and other people can hop in and watch, but they can't talk.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I did. I think for the Cardboard of the Rings interview. I think it was for their podcast. I think it was on Discord.
How is that not just this?
It's like it's kind of like a YouTube stream thing in the comments, except you can chat in the Discord chat instead of in YouTube comments.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you already have an audience built up on Discord.
Oh right, right.
Yeah.
Which we do. We could try that next time.
Yeah.
We should do one of those streamer platforms where like emojis are constantly floating up and obscuring Anders' face, and he's got to say thank you to people who are like dropping likes or subscribing.
Right. Hey, good to see you. Good to see you. How's your dog?
Chub Frog. Thanks for the rose, Chub Frog.
That's right. Start reading super chats. The whole thing.
I always want to know how much
chats.
those people are just throwing at these idiots. Just here's $5.
I think they do all right. I think they do all right. Some of those live streams I catch have like 10,000 concurrent viewers, or some of them hundreds of thousands. It's crazy.
Yeah, we all just need someone to listen to. Feel like we're part of something.
I love talk radio, and I feel like it's just moved its way to YouTube.
Yeah,
and podcasts. It's essentially the same thing. Now I can listen to talk radio all the time.
That is true. Talk radio, though, feels like subdued and kind of dull and kind of lame in a way, but cool. And like, I feel like now with YouTube and stuff, it's all about clout and like chasing those likes, and there's like a different energy about it,
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Maybe you're listening to the wrong people.
I listen to the best people, Andrew. Only the best for me.
Only the best.
I just really appreciate when they say drop a comment, because I'd love to hear your thoughts, because it's so cool to hear that they want to know what I think about what they're talking about.
I know. Just the most obvious.
I believe some of them. I do believe sometimes when they say it. It sounds sincere.
I do that all the time on here, though. Have you not noticed? Kind of.
You're the sincere one.
What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Am I being sincere right now? Drop a comment. I'm actually generally pretty insincere on this podcast.
I can't tell anymore what's real anymore.
First half of the show, I'm just a clown. Clowning around. Then I get real when I talk about my indie games. Andrew just ate some Costa Rican pizza. We all watched him do a mukbang for us. Mukbang.
What's a mukbang?
Mukbang? How do you pronounce it? For some reason, Maxine, I feel like she'd know.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
You don't know like a video where someone eats pizza for you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Sometimes people.
I did do that.
It's a Korean thing. That's why I said.
Oh,
Maxine,
okay.
You're talking about Japanese stuff,
Yeah, I went to Japan.
As did I.
We'll
Mukbang
edit
is
that out.
people just eat a bunch of food on camera. It's like ASMR where they're touching the mic like that.
No, thank you.
I'll
pass.
Who was watching that? Who was watching that? If you watch that, tell me in the comments what you like about that. And why are you so weird? Yeah, Andrew had some Costa Rican pizza. He said it was good.
Was good. Yeah. I said it's the most American style pizza we found down here. So it's like a little bit doughier, the crust.
What would a Costa Rican pizza be more like?
Most of the crusts I've had down here are relatively flat and kind of not quite not like a cracker, but like that kind of thin crust, very firm,
floppy.
Thin. No,
thin crispy.
Yeah, thin and crispy.
Do they do like the party cut or the slices?
Slices.
Is party cut like a regional thing? Does that?
Yeah, like the squares.
Yeah.
I
I think people call that a bar pizza. They do it in the squares.
I like that, the squares.
Yeah.
I think
it's all like the classic big old slices.
Do you like the little tiny squares, Evan?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Carbonis. They do the tiniest squares.
Mm-hmm.
They give you a variety of squares.
Yeah, they don't. It's not really a grid. It's not like they're not parallel.
No, there's a local place called Carbonis, which I'm really into in the past few months. But they do the square cut, but you'll get one that's like a 5x5 and one that's like a 1x1.
Yeah,
it's like a
tiniest little. It has like a little bit of sauce on it, maybe.
Yeah. I like those little pieces.
Yeah,
you grab
like
them.
the bits, like the French fry bits.
You get to eat those before you sit down. Just give me one of those little appetizer. I'm curious what you guys.
I'm a New Yorker. Give me like a triangular slice that's like foldable. It's like
melty.
melty.
That's good too.
Are you actually a New Yorker?
Yeah.
Or is that okay? Not.
I mean, I haven't lived in New York in a while, but I'm from New York.
So you know the best pizza. Yeah, I'm curious what you guys at home think about pizza slice styles. I'd love to know. I really am. I really would love to check in on this podcast and see what you guys say.
What's your favorite pizza style?
Slice style.
You have to answer you have to respond to all the answers.
I will.
I'm going to check.
I will.
Yeah.
No, I absolutely will. I'll do that. Well, banter is over now. A little goofy. This is our first time recording at night in a while. And I've had a long day.
I thought you were going to say you had a lot to drink.
Oh, missed opportunity.
That's right. You're back in school now. So
yeah.
I can only imagine.
I work out of school. So I'm loopy, but I like it. I'm feeling good.
You're providing great material right now.
Oh, good. I should just do like a solo podcast one time and see what happens.
Solo podcast.
I do an hour 40 of just me.
Oh my goodness.
I'd listen.
I would too.
Maybe I'll start.
There you go. You got two.
Maybe I'll try recording one and then run it past you guys. We've got a show. We're going to talk about we're going to answer some questions, and I've got a few things to talk about in my stuff we're into. But first, this week we got a question from Tobin, who asked, "What are our top favorite books? Whatever favorite means to us." So we decided that question was just too big to answer in one episode, so we decided to make it a whole series. And this episode will start with Maxine's list. And then we're going to go through and hopefully you pick me last. Or mine can just be maybe that'll be my solo episode. Because I love to read so much. I've read so many books.
I've read so
I don't think you're being sincere right now.
Yeah, I can't tell whether you're being sarcastic or not.
Personally, I do love to read, but I feel unqualified to like pick 5 because I feel like I've read maybe 10 times.
4. However many books you've read.
And we were saying before, like I don't often remember the content, and you guys kind of agreed, right? Like I remember that I liked Animal Farm, but I wouldn't feel confident like saying that now because it may not still align with what I like or what I believe.
Sure.
I remember at the time, wow, this was profound.
That's what book clubs are for. That you get to discuss the topics, and it becomes more concrete in your mind. So
yeah,
maybe we got to do that.
I thought book clubs were just for like drinking and talking about each other's kids.
That's what that too.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of remembering what you read is to discuss it. Like, but that being said, I feel like I've discussed a ton of books in college, and I don't remember those in
right.
You
took entire semesters on a book.
I've written papers. It's like,
and you're
I remember I wrote a paper on that thing.
Yeah,
but I can't remember exactly all the points or all the details.
And you're an English major, right?
I was an English major. Yep. So I read a lot. Yeah, I read a lot. I think, I'll go more into it, but I when it's my turn. I think reading books is really interesting because I feel like when I'm reading, I feel very engaged. I feel like I'm in the moment when I'm reading it. It's cool. Like I'll find little passages that I'll read, and then I'm like, oh man, that's cool. And I'll just sit there and just read it out loud to myself. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty good. And I'll think, maybe I should write that down. I'm like, nah, I'll just keep going. And then it's like, and then it's kind of just gone, even though in that moment it was really cool. I feel that way about probably most of the books that I've read. I've read, I don't know how many books, at least hundreds easily. Probably not 1,000. Maxine, maybe you're closer to 1,000, but
I don't know about that, but I do read a lot. I read a lot of books.
But it's hard to remember them. Like I remember like either like enjoy it or like I'll have like an emotional response. It's cool, but then you just kind of like move on. It doesn't stick with you in the same way that I think a lot of other media does.
I had to go over to my bookshelf and be like, okay.
Yeah. I tried to make a like I don't know. Someone sent me like a Goodreads link at one point, and I sat there and tried to remember every book that I've ever read to add it to my list. It was hard because then there were some things I was like, did I read that book? I think I read that book,
I have a Goodreads account, and I think maybe like 10% of the books I've read are on there. Same thing. It's like I can't remember all the books I've read.
Yeah.
Do you all keep a bookshelf? Do you keep your books?
I've started to. I didn't used to. Back when I was broke, I would go to the library and I would just take out books and read them and then return them. Lately, I've been collecting books more because I like to support local bookshops, and B, because I like having stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I do have a couple bookshelves filled to the brim with books that most of which I've bought in the last like 3 or 4 years.
Nice.
I'm slowly replacing my book collection with like high-end like art books and things that I can page through and look at and enjoy visually. Right. A lot of my books that I read, I'm just getting from Half Price Books, and then I just send them right back.
Yeah.
I feel like I hauled around about 100 books from like 4 different living situations that I was going to read. You know what I mean?
Do you have your big art history book from college?
No, but I recently sold all of them recently to Half Price Books, and
you got $5 for them, huh?
No, I got like $100.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm like, they don't tell you what they gave you for each one. I guess you can maybe ask, but I was like, was there something really special in there that I just threw away?
This one book that was $95 and the rest were like 20 cents.
That's what it probably was, something like that. Do you like to have a bookcase, Andrew? What do you keep in your bookcase?
Yeah. I went through.
Bookshelf.
So I used to buy all sorts of books. I always bought books from local bookstores and used books. I love like older books if you can find them that were like for like the 70s and 60s.
Yeah, I love those.
Those look really cool.
Yeah.
They have a lot of character. And they have like a very distinctive smell usually.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of slightly mildewy, but I don't know. There's something comforting about it.
Yeah.
I really like having books. I went through a couple, like through a move and got rid of a bunch. And I still have regrets about that. A couple moves getting rid of it. But I don't know. It makes sense. Like after you read them, you don't really need them anymore.
That's what I was thinking too. And then the other night,
I like having them. I like them. I like that that trophy kind of feel. Like I read all that. That's cool.
I know. My mom. We were watching something, and who was it? Oh, Jon Stewart was saying that he recommends everybody reads Kurt Vonnegut.
Oh yeah.
My mom was like, "Oh, I've never read him. I would love to." I was like, "Oh, I got like some of his best up in my room." Went up there, and then I'm like, "Oh yeah, I sold all my books."
Oh.
And I remember when I looked at those, I was like, maybe Sylvie would want to read these someday, my daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, nah, that's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
She's not going to be able to read.
Not with me as a dad.
That is one of the reasons I like to keep books is a friend comes over and I'm like, oh, I just finished this book and I think you'd really like it. And I just give it to them.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's why I like it. That's, I think one of the coolest things about having books in your collection is that if you have that moment where you're talking about a book and you're comfortable, just like, I don't really care if I ever get this back.
Mm-hmm.
Or like, I don't really care about the condition I get this back in. There's some books that I do care. I probably wouldn't lend them out, but most of my like paperbacks, like, if it'd bring me joy to let you take that book and read it and you keep it.
Like let me take that book, put it in my bookshelf for 3 years, and then sell it to Half Price Books.
But then every time you look at it, you think about me.
Yeah.
When you sell it, you'd be like, "Oh yeah, Andrew gave me this." Oh.
Give it a few more dog years. Is that what it's called when the pages folded?
Oh yeah.
I like a well-loved book.
Yeah, paperbacks. That's why I love paperbacks. They're easy to transport, easy to read, and then you just peel the cover like beyond 180 degrees and read it. It's fine. It's not going to fall apart. It looks great.
Some of the best books I got from this old guy that I befriended when I lived in Washington, D.C. Great guy, but he had a huge book collection, and he gave me all these kind of theological books and spiritual books. And now when I look at them, it's got his little writings in there and like notes that he took. And
that's cool.
Oh, cool.
I love that shit.
Nice.
I love that stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Little like evidence that it had a life.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's go to Maxine's top 5 books. Here we go.
All right.
Play the music.
Play the music.
Paul Schaefer over there. All right. Sorry, Maxine.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts when this was proposed?
So I wanted to pick not just my favorite books, but the books that were influential to me, that like taught me things as a writer. Which not all of the books on my top 5 did, but like there are some books that are like I definitely model my writing after a little bit since reading them. And then there are some books that are just like, this is just an influential book, like globally, you know what I mean? Like this is just a book that, has a lot of other books have modeled themselves after this book, like that kind of thing. So, so I guess I'll start with, I brought all the physical copies here too.
Ooh,
nice.
Yeah. So,
Switch.
number 5 is a tie between William Gibson's Neuromancer and Neil Stephenson's Snow Crash.
Nice.
Both two of the most influential cyberpunk books ever written.
I like that you start your list by cheating immediately.
You told me to narrow down my favorite books to the top 5. I read like 5 books a month, so like I have a lot of books here. So that sets
number
the tone.
5 is 2 books.
My number 5 is already 2 books. I couldn't decide between them. They're both I think
you did that a lot, Andrew, when we were doing our top 5
I might have
games.
I might have. But yeah, I would say like the modern what we know of as the cyberpunk genre was was born out of these two books, in my opinion. Neuromancer especially, like a lot of the terminology that we hear in cyberpunk, a lot of it comes from Neuromancer. Netrunner, one of my favorite games of all time. Cyberpunk, the RPG setting, it all comes back to these two books, in my opinion. Yeah,
they're both great. I love both of those books. Are you familiar with either of those, Anders?
I've never read them, but I'm familiar. Yeah,
I'm in the same boat. I feel like I should have at this point, but I haven't.
You should get on that.
Yeah, I should.
I will say Neuromancer
it's never too
is
late
much shorter.
Neuromancer, yeah.
Yes. Neuromancer is much shorter than Snow Crash. So if you're going to read one and you don't know if you have time to commit, I would read Neuromancer. One of the things I love about both of these books is I feel like it taught me that you don't necessarily have to explain everything to do good world building.
Mm-hmm.
Like even just a throwaway line can mean a lot if you're like reading into it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
There can be just like terms that are thrown around that you don't have to have a glossary. You can just, if you're a skilled writer, you can like lean into it with context clues and have the reader understand what you're talking about without necessarily needing like to know all the jargon, you know?
Yeah. Huge fan of that.
Yeah, I think part of what allows them to do that is that the structure that the world they create is so profoundly believable from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so like they I think they lay a pretty amazing foundation of just like things that are either stated or like you can easily extrapolate from what they present to you as like the reality of these people's existence and like the state of the world. It's super captivating. Gibson's in particular, I think his feels I don't know, maybe more so than Neil Stephenson's. Like he's really good at it too, but like it just feels so grounded in reality. It feels like a real place, a real time.
Neuromancer's what, 80, 84, 86? And you can draw a straight line between like then, now, and Neuromancer's future. Like we're headed there, you know? It's scary. It's very scary.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but there's also like a, kind of like analog feel to it. Where
that's true.
It definitely feels like we've diverged from Gibson's vision for the future in a lot of ways, but in a lot of ways, like especially with his exploration of AI and consciousness, like that's very, very applicable today.
The idea, without spoiling too much, the idea that someone's consciousness could get uploaded into like a disk drive is like, I feel like we're headed there. Like, if you've ever played the game Soma, that's also a game that deals with that that concept of like uploading your digital self. And I feel like we're maybe decades away, you know?
I feel like we're
spooky.
I don't think we're ever going to be able to do that. I think we'll just be able to create a convincing facsimile. I just
like
don't
simulacrum.
Yeah,
I agree with you there, Evan.
Yeah.
At least in the near future.
Yeah.
Give it a few thousand years, maybe.
Give it some time.
That's
the way technology advances faster and faster and faster every year. Who knows? But yeah, I thought we'd have flying cars by now. So
yeah, or at least hoverboards.
Exactly. Yeah. Where are my hoverboards?
I know.
You can buy them. They're branded hoverboard. They
Remember
just don't
those?
hover.
There are those companies that tried to sell hoverboards, but they misrepresented themselves. I think it was around 2015. You know.
Yeah, I think they still sell those things.
Oh. So disappointing.
Great product.
So anyway, that's my number 5.
That's great.
And 4.
Number 4 is the entire series of books, basically everything written by David Wong, otherwise known as Jason Pargin. David Wong is like his pseudonym and is also the character of the book. But it starts with John Dies at the End, which is also a movie. If you're ever interested in getting the short version of that story, you can just watch the movie. It's very funny. But yeah, it starts with John Dies at the End. and it only becomes more unhinged from there. The second book is called This Book is Full of Spiders. The third book, which is what I'm holding, is called What the Hell Did I Just Read? They're completely unhinged, like absolute nightmare fuel / what am I reading? Like it's so crazy from page 1, you know.
Is the book Zoe Punches the Future and the Dick part of this series?
So the David Wong novels are the 3 that I just mentioned, and then there's a 4th one that I haven't read yet. And then there's he has a second series that is just as unhinged, but it's the Zoe series.
Gotcha.
That starts with fancy suits and futuristic violence.
Okay.
Which is also a great series of books. But I feel like this was influential for me because especially John Dies at the End, more so than any of the rest of them. Like, I don't know. I feel like it taught me that you don't need to have like a cohesive structure or an outline, as long as you have memorable characters, like witty dialogue, and circumstances that like wouldn't happen in real life. You can create an entertaining story. You know what I mean? It's complete chaos from word 1. There's talking burritos. It's crazy. Like
have you read any Tom Robbins?
I have not.
It's everything you're just describing.
Yeah. I'm gonna write that down. Tom Robbins.
Well, that makes me think of like my experience watching any David Lynch movie, because there's a lot of stuff that doesn't make sense to me, and I don't think it's supposed to make sense, but it leaves me with profound feelings.
Yeah,
and, like, that's like the most important thing.
Yeah,
like and all the weird stuff like doesn't have to make sense at all.
Yeah, it's kind of cosmic horror, but in the sense that like cosmic horror should be weird, and it can be so weird it's funny.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to always just be scary. It can also be scary. Like This Book is Full of Spiders is pretty scary to me, at least. I don't like spiders, but it can also just be utterly hilarious. And the best part about these books is David Wong, the narrator, is the most unreliable narrator you can possibly have.
Nice.
And that makes it very, very fun.
I love me a good unreliable narrator.
Yeah. There's a
go ahead.
Sorry. I was just gonna say there's a running gag. This is kind of a side joke, so I don't mind spoiling it, but it'll give you a good feel for what this book is kind of like. There's a running gag in the second book where there's this like cop who shows up who is like extremely competent, like way more competent than every other character in the book. He's doing like action movie stunts. He's amazing. And then there's a conversation at the very end of the book where he's talking to David, and he's like, yeah, when you write about this, can you make me look real good? And he's like, yeah, I absolutely will.
That's amazing.
It's so good. Like,
that's great.
Yeah,
that's fun. That's super fun.
That's great. You sold me right there. That was great thing. Yep.
That's why I wanted to mention it, because it gives you a good feel for what the books are like. But definitely watch the movie John Dies at the End. It'll give you a good sense of what the book is like. And then you can go read the book if you enjoyed it.
So would you say the movie's pretty accurate to the book then?
It's missing a lot, but what's there is accurate to the books. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah, is it like the spirit of the book? Like
the spirit of the book, absolutely. You'll watch it and you'll be like, what am I watching? And like that is 100%. Yeah. I can't explain it any better than normal person gets thrown into the wackiest supernatural things that can possibly occur.
It's got some pretty good character actors in it. I was looking at the cast.
Yeah, the cast is solid. Yeah. I don't remember who the director is. That's gonna bug me.
Don Coscarelli. Coscarelli?
That's why I didn't remember.
Don Costco. Son of
Donco.
The heir of
John
Costco.
The great Costco, directed by the Costco heir.
Yeah.
He can really do whatever he wants.
Yeah. So that's my number 4.
That's cool. I want to check that out.
They are very funny. The Zoe ones are also. I actually think the Zoe ones are probably better written overall because they do have a cohesive plot and like are very well outlined and like have all that good writing stuff. But there's something about the pure unhinged chaos of John dies at the end that is just like, yeah.
Okay.
That's right. He used to write for, was it The Onion? I think he wrote for The Onion, and that where his comedy chops came from.
Nice,
if I'm remembering correctly.
Awesome.
Yeah. So number 3, I'm gonna go old school, and I have one of my favorite books of all time, To Kill a Mockingbird.
Nice.
This is the fancy Barnes and Nobles version because I'm a consumer whore. It's this book. I read this book when I was, I don't know where to put this. I read this book when I was a kid, and it shaped, I feel like it shaped my entire life. I went into law largely because of this book. I feel like it taught me so much about the world. I read it at the age that like the main characters are around.
Mm-hmm.
And it's such an interesting book because the book's not really about them. The book is about Atticus Finch and about like this trial that he's preparing for and all of the events that ensue from that. And you're reading it from the perspective of these kids, and you're kind of learning along with them and growing along with them, you know? And to me, like that book was very influential to me as a person, not so much as a writer, but like as a human being, like learning about empathy and learning about like, I don't know, humanity, you know, like how to judge people and how not to judge people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. I missed out on reading that when I was in school. I don't know why. Either I was lazy and didn't read it, or I was just like in a remedial English class or something, and we didn't read it in the class I was in. But I actually started reading it a couple of years ago, and I didn't finish it, but I really liked what I read. My oldest son Sebastian, he actually read it just last month.
Oh, that's great.
He really liked it, and Rachel loves that book too. Yeah, makes me really want to go back to it. I really liked what I'd read, like the first like 100 pages or so. I thought it was absolutely phenomenal.
Oh, and it
was
only
like her
gets
first
better,
novel too, right? I mean,
first and
only
not
almost only,
but so there was a sequel. It's called Go Set a Watchman. She never wanted to publish it, and my understanding of the series of events, and I could be wrong, but like my understanding of what happened is, as she got older, she got pressured by like publishers to publish the second book, and I kind of hate it. It like ruins To Kill a Mockingbird, in my opinion.
That sucks.
It has some interesting things to say about aging and about growing up and about like rose-tinted glasses, but Atticus Finch is my hero, and it does some things with Atticus Finch that I don't like. And yeah, so
it's like the Last Jedi of novels.
Yeah. I like The Last Jedi. We've had this conversation.
Ruined Luke, man. Ruined Luke.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. It really bummed me out.
Yeah, it bummed a lot of people out. I hear that. But yeah, To Kill a Mockingbird, I feel like I had the unique. I feel like every kid should read To Kill a Mockingbird.
Cool.
Like, I think it's good to read as an adult as well, but I think it's especially good when you're in those formative years, and you can really like take in what, you know, because I feel like it tricked me into learning about empathy. You know what I mean? You think
just
it's just
going
to be these kids. Yeah, just by being a good story about kids having little adventures and stuff. Yeah. And really, it's actually not about that at all. It's so good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I need to get back. I need to pick that up again.
Yeah,
we have it down here, so I can read it.
The last like third of that book is extremely good.
Nice.
Especially. All right, so now we're getting into the books that are so good that I cry thinking about them because they're so good and I will never be this good of a writer. So my number 2 is a very short book called This Is How You Lose the Time War. It is, like I said, this book is so good that I was almost depressed after I finished reading it because I knew that I would never be this good of a writer. And it was like soul crushing, but it's so good. Oh my God. I've reread it like 3 times since then.
Wow.
Basic elevator pitch is, it's kind of hard to explain, but basically it's in the far future, far enough in the future that we've developed the technology that we can time travel and we can prune timelines. We can craft a timeline that is like the perfect timeline. That's what we want. And there are 2 factions that are doing that are trying to like go back in time to like mess things up to create the timeline in which they're the faction that exists and the other faction is gone. But they're constantly doing this back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And it follows these 2 agents, one from each of these 2 factions, red and blue. And they start leaving notes for each other. They start like treating it like it's a game and eventually become friends and more. And it's just incredible. Like every chapter is set in a completely different setting, following one of the characters and then picking up a note left by the other character and reading what they've written. And you can watch the evolution of these 2 characters as they go through this. And you get the sense that you're only picking up like bits and pieces of this larger story. And is
the entire story told through these letters to the characters?
I would say about half of the story is told through these letters.
Okay.
And the other half is like them encountering the traps left by each other and kind of like one-upping each other in kind of spy versus spy sort of way. You know what I mean?
From like a limited perspective? Like can you see inside their thoughts?
Yeah. Definitely can. You
right.
get a lot of introspection.
Okay.
But it's written the vocabulary level and the writing style is just on another level. Like it's hard for me to describe how good this book is. I read it. I saw it recommended to me on Twitter. Or not even recommended to me, just recommended. Like I saw people talking about this book and I was like, oh, it sounds cool. I'll pick it up. It's short. I'll read through it in like, a few days. And I think I read through it in like 2 nights. I was addicted.
Cool. Yeah, I was just seeing it's a novella. So
yeah,
it's bite size.
Yeah, you can kind of see from it's very small.
Oh yeah, it's a decently sized novella though.
Yeah, it's larger than your average novella, but it's definitely short overall. You know what I mean?
Cool.
Yeah.
That's a wonderful sounding book, but I'm afraid it doesn't qualify if it's a novella.
I see. Well, that's okay because before I got to my number 1, I had an honorable mention.
Oh, okay.
All right.
So yeah, if you haven't read This Is How You Lose the Time War, definitely recommend picking that up. Before I get to my number 1, my honorable mention is a book. So I was in the hospital last year and I read through like 20 books while I was there because I had nothing better to do. And one of the series I read through like every book in the series by Jackson Ford. The series starts with the girl who could move shit with her mind. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's great. The characters are really fun. It's very memorable. But what I got out of it, the reason why it's only an honorable mention to me is because I really just wanted to mention this one chapter that's 2 lines long. The entire chapter is just 2 lines, very, very impactful lines. And I feel like it taught me that, like, as a writer, you don't have to follow the rules. You know, you don't have to, like, chapters don't have to be 3,000 to 5,000 words. You don't have to you can do sentence fragments if you want to, if it's impactful and it's punchy and it like hits hard. Like writing rules are good, but rules are made to be broken, in my opinion.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
But there is no world, no universe in which my number one book is not House of Leaves.
Oh, yeah. I still got to read that
by Mark Danielewski. This book, if I can just open up to a random page, occasionally looks like this.
Oh my gosh.
And occasionally also looks like this. It's so cool. This book is so cool. Yeah. It's a story within a story within a story. For one thing, it's a cosmic horror story that really gets cosmic horror, but also isn't really a horror story. Like I could talk about this book for an entire 2 other podcasts. I feel like, you know.
Fisher lent me his copy a year or so ago, maybe a year and a half ago, and I think I talked about it on the podcast.
Oh yeah,
I started reading it. It was too much.
It's hard to get through.
It's
so intense. It's very hard to get through.
So intense. Like I don't remember I don't remember exactly what was going on in my life at the time, but I was like, I don't need this level of intense feelings when I'm sitting down to read. Like I'd want to chill out, relax, read a book, enjoy a nice story. And it's like, I could tell it was very good because it gripped me, but it also filled me with deep anxiety.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah. It's designed to, I feel like.
Yeah. It was very well done.
Yeah, the amount of effort that went into that book must have been Herculean. I can't even imagine putting that much effort into like anything. Like it's crazy.
It's like a puzzle, right? I mean, it's kind of like a labyrinth that's something that has like clues and it's like very meta, has a lot of meta stuff.
It's very meta.
That part of it it kind of pushes me away from wanting to read it because I'm afraid I just want to lose myself in a book, and I'm afraid I don't want to. Do I have to solve puzzles, or can I get the gist of it?
So there, like I said, there's a story within a story within a story, and if you just focus on the core story of like what's called the Navidson file, which is like this, think of it like a movie, like a book report, like a movie report about a movie. That's a fictional movie that doesn't actually exist. That is a documentary about this guy who buys a new house and discovers that the house is larger on the inside than it is on the outside.
That's right up my alley.
Yeah,
it's really good. Yeah. You'd love it, I think. I think you'd like it.
I feel like if you focus on just that core story, you'll get a cohesive beginning, middle, and end, and you won't have to like solve anything. You won't have to like figure anything out. But then in the footnotes and in the margins and all over the place in other areas, there's a second layer to it of the person who found this Navidson report and is parsing through it. And then that person dies and it gets passed on to a third person. And then that person's talking about completely tangential stuff that has almost nothing to do with the main plot, but it kind of does, actually. You know what I mean? Like it's that kind of thing. If you ignore that stuff, if you ignore the footnotes and you ignore all of the weird Zamakona stuff, like the Navidson report stuff is really interesting, really good cosmic horror, and has it is very anxiety inducing, like to read. But it's solid. And then if you can like stomach a reread, then you'll get a lot out of it. You know what I mean? Yeah.
That reminds me of a book that came out like maybe 10 years ago. It's called S. I think J.J. Abrams.
Yes. It is a lot like S.
He must have read, House of Leaves and then told someone to write this book idea that he had. Because I tried reading S and I just didn't like all the stuff happening in the margins between two people. These people were reading the same book and exchanging messages with each other by writing stuff in the margins of the pages, and I got kind of overwhelmed by the.
Well, for the J.J. Abrams, he probably just presented you with a bunch of mysteries and didn't actually solve them.
Snap.
And then, like, when you open the book, this, like, all this lighting hits you in the face, and it's hard to or whatever. Doesn't he do that a lot in his movies? Like, he does a lot of lens
like
flares or whatever.
bloom, yeah.
Oh yeah,
Lens
yeah.
flare.
Bloom. That's what it is. Bloom.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like House of Leaves also very similarly, it breaks a lot of conventions and a lot of rules about writing, and I feel like it plays around so much with text placement and creating space, and like then creating a claustrophobic feeling when it wants to, and it's doing that to like mimic what's happening in the story, where like there are times where the house feels very claustrophobic, and there's times where the house opens up into this vast like cosmic space that's impossible to exist within the house, and the text will do that. It will like expand and contract in a way. There's a scene where someone's lost in like a labyrinth, and you're yourself lost in the labyrinth of text trying to follow where it begins and ends, and it's like it's meant to inspire the emotions that the characters are going through in the text. Is the best way that I can describe it.
Yeah,
and
that's cool.
Yeah, I love that. Like as a game designer, as a game writer, like that's kind of what I want to do too, is like inspire the same emotions that your character is going through as you're playing. So I feel like this book was very influential for me.
Well, that would really be something to see that in like in a card game, playing with conventions of, card layout and stuff like that. That's really cool.
That would be so cool. We did that a little bit in Arkham. But like not to the extent that this this book does. I don't think any book has ever done it to the extent that this book does. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's a great list.
Yeah, I got a lot of books to get now.
I know.
Half price books this weekend.
If I had to recommend any one of those books just to like any old person, I would say This Is How You Lose the Time War is just like it's not as difficult of a read, and not difficult, but like it's not very long, and you can get through it in like
not
a couple
huge
sittings.
Commitment.
Yeah, that's what I meant. And if you really want to, you can also pick up my book, The Key and the Crescent, by M.J. Newman. I should have just cheekily put that on my list. Number 1 is The Key and the Crescent. No, I'm just kidding.
Is that still available on your website?
It is still available on my website. Thank you for asking. And on Amazon.
And your website is?
BewareTheBlackCat.com.
All right. Cool. That was a great list.
Thank you.
Evan, you want to do a book club with one of those?
Yeah, we should. Maybe we just do the Time War.
Let's go Time War.
Yeah, maybe at the end of this, we'll do a book club.
Yeah.
I will happily lend this book out to anyone who wants to read it, without a second thought. Because like I said before, I like sharing the things that I like with people, and yeah.
Lend it to Anders, because I'm the kind of person that resists accepting movies or books from people because there's too much pressure for me to get it done.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I do. I hear you, because like I still own all of Caleb's like Robotech comics.
Yeah.
And like I'll get them back to him at some point, but I'll also probably just forget. And that makes me feel really bad. Sorry, Caleb.
I'm sure if he wanted those comics back, he'd let you know.
Yeah, he would. Actually, I think I might have actually given them back at some point recently. But anyway.
Good.
I read a lot of like what I call snack books that are just like I can read them in a couple evenings, and they're usually, they're good, don't get me wrong, but they're not showing up on this list. But like they're like fantasy or romance or fantasy romance, like that kind of thing. They're snack books. It's like junk food. I like yum. But these are the books that really like make me sit and think a lot.
That's awesome.
Great. I can't do snack books. I feel like every
Snack
time I go
books.
to
You
read a
can't do
book,
snack
I'm like,
books.
this has to be the best novel I've ever read, or I'm done.
I'm a
Screw
little bit
this,
the same
son.
way. Like I'm that way with fantasy. Like I tried to get into Dragonlance, and I just couldn't. There's so much, and there's a few other, and the Robert Jordan books, Wheel of Time, same way, same thing. I mean, so I hear you.
Yeah. Only classic literature for us.
I would be happy to share my Goodreads account to any listener who is interested in hearing the rest of my recommendations.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Should we do some work stories? Do we want to do? Do we need to?
Yeah, let's do some work stories. It'll be relatively short, I think.
Okay. How about Evan?
We don't have a ton of listener questions, so yeah.
Okay, cool.
I think we got time.
Oh, true, we don't. Okay, Evan.
Last time I was able to talk in detail about the things I was working on because I was helping wrap up and get files off to our North American printer. But currently I'm working on secret stuff for Corey games, so I don't know if there's much I can talk about. Other than I'm really enjoying it, and there's world building happening, and I have to do some rudimentary graphic design stuff soon, like this week. I'm gonna do that, but beyond that, I've been doing art and exploring different styles and enjoying a wonderful Pinterest gallery that Corey has put together, full of many inspirational things. And
nice.
It made me realize I really need to get better at finding reference material, because I've been just Google image searching like an old man. And Pinterest.
What else are you supposed to do?
Pinterest is where it's at apparently. That's something that I don't know. I think I avoided signing up for that because I thought I wouldn't. I didn't really understand the full scope of it, and I thought I would just get a bunch of annoying emails.
Yeah,
so
you will.
I don't know I can't really talk much about what I'm really doing.
Well,
Andrew,
did we talk about it? We may have talked about it on the episode you were gone, but we did talk about our plan to have the game playable at PAX. So we'll have it in the demo hall. So we're prepping for that. So we're putting together demo decks for that. We are also preparing to reveal the game, which we talked about taking place during the next Game Found Feast, which we were thinking was in November, was actually at the very beginning of October.
Yeah.
So in just, I think, 2 more episodes of this podcast's time, we will have announced the game, and you'll be able to check out the project preview page on GameFound. So, yeah,
that's so exciting.
That's cool. We had our deadline shortened by a month and a half. So we're kind of, I think it's good. Like I mentioned to Corey, that I felt like it was one of the best things to happen to us, because it'll just kind of force us to make some decisions and then work with what we've got for the time being, and we can always add more to the project pages.
Yeah,
time goes on.
Yeah,
so it'll start off a little light on details, but it'll at least give you a good idea of what the game might be.
Sweet.
I feel like I can say that the logo is complete, which I had anxiety about because, well, there's a variety of reasons, but just there's so many ways we could go with it, So that feels good to have that done.
Yeah,
that's cool. Yeah.
I haven't seen the logo. I'm gonna.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I like it.
That's cool.
Live reaction right now, just your face.
Live reaction.
I found the perfect typeface for Corey game. It's
Corey font. Is that what you use?
Corey font.
It's called Jokerman font.
Makes sense. Cool. All right, Maxine, do you want to share what you're working on?
Hold on, I'm looking up the logo.
Oh yeah, let's watch.
Oh, do I have it on the? Do I have
it's on there.
A viewable thing on?
It's on there
without being a PSD or an AI.
Oh my god, I hope it's actually called Corey Game in the end.
Illustrator, not
Yes.
artificial intelligence.
No, you're joking. You're teasing me.
That is a cool logo. I like that logo.
Wow.
Short stories, yes. I last week I talked about last episode I talked about how we were about to start playtesting for the thing that I've been working on. We are now playtesting for the thing that I've been working on. It's kind of only just started, so people are still kind of getting acquainted to it. And in the background, I'm already scoping up like more future secret Rangers content that I can't super duper talk about. But it's going to be cool.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. It's been we had a really fun meeting talking about the next one.
Yes.
That's going to be really cool. Yeah, I think, and we talked a little bit more today too. I think they're each one of them, I think, is going to be cooler than the last. It's feeling.
Yeah. We should reverse the order.
I think that's good. Everything will keep getting cooler.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I mentioned it before, but just in case I haven't, or I could just mention it again. Like we'll reveal what Maxine's been working on once fulfillment is pretty much done.
Yeah.
And then give you time to enjoy the things you have you'll have soon, and then we'll talk about the things that will be to come. So
nice. How about Andrew?
Yeah, Andrew? I've been getting files. We have files pretty much ready, so I'm starting to upload them to our to Delano's FTP site. And let me just say I had forgotten that FTPs existed. Like I can't even remember really the last time I used FTP. Like I was talking to Fisher about it earlier today, and it may have been Games Workshop's old FTP. It was maybe the last one that I had any kind of memory of using, but it's just, I don't know. It's like a file transfer system or protocol.
Mm-hmm.
That feels like I'm just like working in the past. This is like
it has an
relic.
old school feel to it.
Yeah, it's like a little dirt trail, or a dirt path, as opposed to a super highway.
Right. It's like it's like a relic of a time long gone, and they've just decided that this is the way they've done things, and this is one thing that they're not going to change. They're happy with it. But it is like I was thinking about it. It was like just like a standard like file share thing where you can move files around. You can like try to get things in the right order. If you screw something up, you can fix it. No, like the only thing I can do is upload. I can create new things. All I can do is create life. I cannot destroy it. So I can't delete anything. So like I uploaded a file. I immediately found a little error with it, and then I changed it, and then I uploaded that, and then I realized I introduced a smaller error. So I tried to update that. It was just a gigantic mess.
Man. And the files are saying, don't use the previous one. Use this one.
Exactly. Yes. It was awful. But if it was like just a like Dropbox or Google Docs or whatever, it's no problem.
It was like 10,
this was like this huge hassle. So
10 files, final, all caps, final. Then you'll know that's the final one.
Right. Well, luckily I had just started. It was like literally the first thing I'd uploaded. So I emailed the contact there and was like, "Hey, can we do this some other way?" She's like, "No, we got to do it this way." She's like, "I can just delete that stuff for you if you want." So I was like, "Yeah, just go ahead and delete everything that's there. I'll start over." So that's going on, but that should be done tomorrow. We'll have all the files there. That means we'll be able to start proofing and then schedule the production. I'm very excited for that. Because then I'll be scheduling a trip back to be on press for that. So I'm very, very excited. So the sooner we find that out, the better from my perspective. I can get my flight. Also, I've been working. I mentioned it a couple episodes ago, kind of as like a surprise thing, talking about the Earthborne Rangers soundtrack that we've been working on. Mm-hmm. And that's really coming along well. We're about maybe about 2 months away from finalizing it. But today I got the draft of the Earthborne Rangers main theme. And
that's cool.
Oh my God. It was so awesome. Like it's not done. I mean, there's still like lots of like little transitions. Yeah, I think I will. I'm going back and forth between sharing it now or just sharing it once it's a little bit more refined. But man, I was just immediately like envisioning the world in motion. Like I could just see it. Like it came to life in my mind. Cool. When I listened to this theme. It was very good. It was very good. So I'm very excited about it. So anyway, that's been coming along great. So yeah, we'll have we'll have more information about the soundtrack when it's more in its final state. It'll be a whole thing. So but I love it. It's so I saw some people on the Discord talking about soundtracks again and using like Fisher's soundtrack on Spotify, which is fine. And using other video game soundtracks and stuff is totally fine. But I think this blows it all out of the water. So I'm really excited. Really excited about it. So yeah, that's pretty much what I've been working. I've also been working with Evan on Corey Game stuff. Working on some art, giving some direction there. Working on a little bit of theme stuff and world building. And that's been really fun too. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to showing everyone what we've been working on with this.
They can't wait. I can't wait. Alrighty. We got a few listener questions too. So let's get right into those. The old mailbag. The God of Toast says, will cards from the Legacy of the Ancestor set ever need to be shuffled with cards from Lure of the Valley? Asking for sleeve purposes. I like having my nice green sleeves for the Valley, but some cool slate gray or silver for the Underground could be nifty.
That is kind of cool. I like that.
Yeah, I like that thinking.
Mm-hmm.
They are occasionally shuffled together. There are some moments where you will have to shuffle the new cards with the old ones. But you can always just sleeve them in those moments. Just swap them out. It's not too common.
Yeah, I would say they're largely separated. But yeah, there may occasionally be times where you have to shuffle them together.
Yeah, there's some fun moments where you are going to be shuffling them together.
Yeah.
Could it add an extra layer to kind of see what's coming up? Know which pack it's coming from?
Yeah, you wouldn't want to have different colors in there. I mean, I guess you could.
Yeah, I mean, do what makes you happy, but also, yeah.
Yeah, but you don't need to. But if the question is, do I need a full set of gray slate sleeves and a full slate of green sleeves to shuffle to match all the cards at once? No, you don't. Just have some spares, then you'll be able to swap them out if you want.
Great solution. Great question, God of Toast. What makes your toast so great?
You didn't say it was great. You just said they're just the God of Toast.
Yeah,
I would imagine the God of Toast is the God of all toast, be that burnt toast or well toasted toast.
That's true. I'm the God of Toast.
Yeah, you can have Old Testament toast or New Testament.
That's right. If God is good, then why did you burn my toast?
Loquitur. How are the new mini sculpts coming along? I like to hear that somebody's typing right now. Loquitur, how are the new mini sculpts coming along? Also, Andrew N gave me the idea to have floating rocks on the Shaper Mini's base. Are there any cool or interesting settings you would like to see on some of the bases on the next wave of minis? Floating rocks.
So the minis, as far as I know, are coming along well. I am still waiting on the latest update from our notes that we sent. But the minis last time were like, they kind of didn't move very much until the very end, and then all of a sudden it was just like they were done and everything was awesome. So they came in real hot, let's just say. I think they were the first thing we started, and I think the last thing we finished from the first round of products. So I am expecting to see some updates really soon. The ones that I shared in the update were really, really good. I think we didn't have a ton of notes. We did have a few, like Evan and Corey both gave great notes. And Corey went so far, since he has such like experience sculpting and like directing sculpts, that he just like did all the revisions himself. So like I don't even know how much work the sculptor would even have to do. They looked really great. So if they just did what Corey suggested, and then added the couple things that Evan threw on top, and then we'll be in great shape. So yeah, I'll share those with you as soon as I can. As far as what to put on the bases, that's a good question. I feel like the one explorer role, the Undaunted Seeker, we kind of did a revision on that one because she's like holding the branch. But I think there's still a rock she's kind of like got her foot up on, but I think
her
you could
leg
probably
is still up.
I think you could do stuff with that. You could probably also do some cool mods with the we have the one spirit speaker who has that kind of coil of elements like rising up around her.
The cartographer mini worlds. Yeah.
And I think that'll be a really cool piece in metal, but I think you could also like heavily modify that if you wanted to make that more dramatic and do some cool stuff with that.
I'm excited to see the paint jobs that people do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, Loquitur did all the great paint jobs of the originals that we shared
nice.
on the campaign.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, he also done like all the pets and things.
The spirits and the pets.
The spirits. Yep.
That's so cool.
So, yep, they're coming. They're coming along. I have full faith that they're going to be great. But I'm also I'm looking forward to seeing some in progress stuff because it's time to make them. The time has come to put them in the machine and spin them around. We're not printing very many of them at all, so. They'll be in very, very limited supply for people who didn't get them during the GamePound campaign.
Next question comes from Hierophantic. Same question as always. EBRTTRPG?
It's still on the list. I know that Fisher and Maxine were talking about it pretty recently.
We were, yeah.
I saw some people like, or at least someone in there was like speculating that maybe there was a conflict of interest because Fisher was working on the Cosmere RPG, and there's no conflict of interest. It's someone I think someone else also put in there what the truth of the matter is. It's just time.
Yeah, it's just bandwidth.
Yeah. But we really do want to do one, and we will do one. I think. Our thinking on it has been up to this point that we would not do a crowdfunding campaign for this. But since Fisher's last crowdfunding campaign for an RPG just made almost $15 million, we should probably do one.
Wow.
Yeah. Did you not see that, Anders? I
didn't know.
Ended up number 3 all time.
Or what is it on? Kickstarter?
Kickstarter, yeah.
Kickstarter.
All time, any Kickstarter.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I guessed it was going to be number 2. Because because Brandon Sanderson's other project was number 1 by
a lot.
Double.
Yeah.
I think.
Wow.
What number 2 was. So I was like, I think it'll be right up there next to Brandon Sanderson's last one. And I was almost right. It is mostly are up there next to it.
All right. The final question is from Matt. I don't know if it's a question, really. I don't really get it. Maxine, on the next podcast, tell us about Lure of Middle-earth and how you'll just end up playing EBR the whole time.
Yeah, so Lure of Middle-earth is an event for the Lord of the Rings, both for the Lord of the Rings LCG and the old Middle-earth TCG, that takes place in a castle in Germany.
What?
And I got invited to go to this event as like a guest. So I'm going to a castle in Germany.
Wow.
Okay. That's cool.
It's awesome. And
Is
yes, I will
is it next summer or is it spring? When is it?
It is March. It is this coming March, so March 2025.
You asking for PTO reasons, Andrew?
Oh no, we talked about this almost as soon as Maxine started, and I was like, "Well, when is it?" She's like, "Oh, it's in March." It was like in 2025. I was like, "Oh, okay." I thought it was this year.
Yeah,
That's cool.
They've invited me multiple times, and in the past, I've always had to say no. And this year, I was like, "No, I'm going. I'm definitely going." And yes, I will definitely be bringing Earthborne Rangers, and I will definitely be plugging Earthborne Rangers.
Sweet,
awesome.
Yeah. Hey, I have to go through my Lord of the Rings collection and like actually put some decks together, which is wild because I haven't played that game in years now.
Nice. That's fun.
But I'm super excited for that.
So will it be just structured like a bunch of cooperative card or like sessions happening all at once, and then there's no like tournament structure? It's just kind of a fun. I mean, it's cooperative, right?
Well, the Middle Earth TCG was competitive.
Oh, okay.
The Lord of the Rings LCG that Fantasy Flight made is cooperative.
Yeah,
so I imagine
that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, I imagine that the LCG events they'll have some themes around them. They'll have some like specific events that they're doing. There is a Race Against the Shadow variant that we put out a while into the game's lifetime where you do race against each other and try to like be the first person to beat the scenario. There was also a POD product that we put out that were like you craft the encounter deck for your opponents. So you would craft an encounter deck like, oh, I'm gonna do all spiders, and then like hand it to you, and then you'd be like, oh, I'm gonna do Nazgul, and hand it to me, and then we'd play sort of like a mirror match. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I imagine that will probably show up. To be honest, don't know the full scope of what's going to be going on there, so I'm kind of excited to find out.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna go see if I can borrow my friend's Middle Earth TCG decks, so I have something to play with there too.
Nice.
Yeah, that's the Decipher TCG.
Oh, that one. Okay.
Yeah.
Not the Middle Earth collectible card game, the 90s one.
Maybe it's both. I think it's all of the Lord of the Rings card games that have ever existed.
Oh, okay. Well, then that one will definitely be represented.
I could be wrong. Yeah. But I could be wrong on that. Someone else who knows more will probably chime in.
Chime in below, folks.
Yeah, chime in if you're going. If you're going, let me know. I'll meet you there.
Put your phone number in the comments.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
All right. That brings us to stuff we're into. Now, listen. Last time you guys were talking about Baldur's Gate 3 a little bit, and as I like to do sometimes, I try to get in. I like to try my best to get into things that my friends are into, and things that everybody loves. So I downloaded it.
Oh, really?
$60.
I think you hate that game.
Wow.
Right. So let me tell you. Usually, I don't think I've ever liked a game where the first thing you do is create a character.
Yeah. I remember you've said that in the past. That's why I was like, "Oh, you're gonna despise this."
So then when I was creating the characters and I saw their genitals dangling down and everything, I'm like, I'm not gonna like this shit.
You can cover them up.
But it started, and
I think you can choose no genitals too. I don't know.
Well, I got to see what the technology, genital technology, is these days. Quite good. That might have been my favorite thing about my experience with it. But I liked the opening cutscene. I was like, "Oh, this is cool. I like the kind of weirdness of this. This might be something I'm into." So I watched all of that, and then I was inside of that slimy beast thing.
The Nautiloid.
The Nautiloid.
I don't care.
Yeah.
And then I got to make some choices like about that fucking talking brain or whatever on the ground. Like, this is so weird and cool. I liked that, like making these choices. But then it got to the fucking combat, which is there's nothing fun about that.
Yeah,
I asked for my refund immediately.
Oh,
Like,
I love the combat.
I like
Yeah.
I like the
Love
combat.
combat.
I like the
It's
combat
not
a lot.
Good.
It's
not for
very
me.
good.
It's so tactical. It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal.
I just feel like I don't have time for this.
it
Whenever
could be
I play
very
a game like
if you don't have a foundation like rolling dice at an RPG game,
that's what I figured.
then
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not going to be appealing to you.
Absolutely. And if you don't have if you don't have a baseline knowledge of the Dungeons and Dragons rules,
Yeah.
it
It's
doesn't do
overwhelming.
anything to help you.
Yeah.
It's just
Nothing.
overwhelming. I'm just like,
Yeah.
okay, I have 30 choices here. I don't know what the fuck. Every RPG, every JRPG I try, I want to get into them.
Yeah.
It just throws you in, and you're like, okay, smash attack. Okay, I won. Oh, another one of those. Okay, smash attack. How is this fun? Anyway, I've already ranted about how I hate RPGs. But
this game is not that though. You
Right.
can't smash
Yeah.
attack. Like
And it's-
you
Yeah,
have to
if you-
think
if
a
you
lot.
Definitely not
Yeah.
a JRPG.
Yeah.
It's more, but it's the other end of the spectrum where it's like so many choices. I have no idea what to do.
Yeah, well,
That's
it's
fair.
almost like I was talking about last time when I was talking about XCOM 2. It's
Yeah.
that type of like tabletop tactical minis vibe.
But that looks like it's a little more streamlined for someone like me, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
you have far fewer choices there. Far fewer choices.
You have one spell and it's gun.
Well, later on you do get
Yeah,
some
yeah.
abilities, but it eases you in. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the only game like that I've played is Into the Breach. I don't know if that's anywhere similar.
I'd say that's more like a puzzle game,
Oh, okay.
like a tactical puzzle.
Like there's one solution, kind of.
It's like a board. It's like a little board.
Yeah.
You know, it's like little squares, and I don't know. It feels very different to me.
Okay. Anyway, I got a refund. That's why I love Steam. I get refunds all the time. Just try it out, get a refund. I also
that's
got
hilarious.
Death Must Die, Maxine. I like that a lot.
Yeah, how you like it? It's good?
It's cool, yeah. I like it a lot. It's my kind of thing.
Cool.
Easy one to pick up.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, and then I tried a bunch of other games. Nothing worth noting. Then I watched a couple movies that I loved. I loved this movie from, 2018 or so, The Witch, Robert Eggers movie.
Oh, yeah.
The
Oh, yeah.
Vitch.
The
Vitch.
The Vavitch. Did you ever see that, Andrew?
No, I didn't. I've seen the logo.
Yeah, the Vavitch. Is that really what it's meant to be?
It's got two V's.
I don't know.
Yeah.
No, it's just a weird W.
Just a way they wrote it. But he did The Lighthouse as well.
Mhm.
So I watched that movie with my mom the other day.
Is it one of those
And,
ones that you shouldn't watch with a parent?
No, just in the sense that it was a little too artsy for her. Like she didn't really get it. But I got it, and I loved that movie. It's great.
Yeah, that movie was cool.
It's
Oh,
my
that's
kind.
The one. It's in black and white, and it's
Yeah,
It's in black
yeah.
and white, yeah.
It's so my kind of movie. Just a simple story, but super engaging and weird and dark. Makes you think. And then I saw that director's next movie called The Northman, which is like a epic Viking revenge movie with one of those Skarsgård guys.
Yeah.
Not.
I've seen that movie.
Oh yeah. What'd you think?
I liked it.
Yeah, I liked
the
it
most
too.
part. Yeah. It was weird.
It like won me over by the end. Like in the middle, I was like, but the end was kind of cool. And
Yeah. I didn't think any of the characters were terribly likable. But
no. Yeah, sometimes they don't need to be.
It was interesting. It was interesting. It was like it was an interesting exploration of what life might have been like then.
Yeah. Flying into Valhalla on a Valkyrie. when you die, like
Uh-huh.
in the olden days.
Yeah.
That was cool. But The Lighthouse, I love that. Maybe one of my favorite movies of all time now. Check it out.
Wow.
Yeah, Willem Dafoe.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
amazing.
He's so
he's
good.
very good. I thought Ethan Hawke was really good in that film too.
Oh, in the North.
The Northman.
Yeah. For sure.
Oh, was Willem Dafoe in The Lighthouse?
Yeah, he's one of two characters.
Oh, okay.
It's just
okay.
like-
Yeah.
Because
Robert
he's in The Northman
Pattinson.
too.
Right, yeah. And he talks like who's the captain on Captain Ahab? Moby Dick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's his whole speech pattern. It's amazing. Loved it. Okay, that's my stuff I'm into and not into. I wouldn't recommend Baldur's
And
Gate
not
3,
into.
you
What-
guys.
I recommend Baldur's Gate 3.
I recommend it. 3 out of 4 podcasters recommend Baldur's Gate.
Yeah,
I
I,
kn- it's
give it
so
3
weird.
gates out of 4.
3 Baldurs out of 4 gates. I don't know.
I knew I wouldn't like it. I just wanted to like it.
I knew I
I
wouldn't
knew
like
you wouldn't
it.
like it either.
Yeah,
Like,
we all
do.
like, why would you do that? Why would you do that?
I wanted to like it. I wanted to.
I
What kind of
appreciate
character
you
did make,
trying.
though? Did he make a like? I'm guessing.
I was
I bet
really
you made a
excited.
ranger.
I was really excited. I made a ranger.
Yeah.
I don't know what I chose now.
I'm guessing based on you saying that you had a lot of options that you made some kind of a spellcaster.
I really don't remember. I really don't remember. I played it so little. I also hate the costumes. So dorky looking. Yeah, what was I going to say about that? Oh, I was so excited to. I was hoping I liked it so much, like so I could come and just tell you guys that's all I've been doing. Alas. Okay, Maxine.
Yeah, so I've been doing a lot of prep work for a Daggerheart campaign that I'm starting this Friday. So I'm really excited for that, and I will report back next episode on how well that went and how good that game is.
Nice. You've not played it at all yet? This will be your first time?
We went through like a session 0 of like character creation and world building, which was really cool because I like to do a lot of collaborative world building where it's like everyone tell me the region that you're from and your hometown, and we'll like add it to the map and like do stuff like that.
That's cool.
Yeah. So I really, really like the party that we have, so I'm super excited for it. And I'm playing with my bandmates, so it's
nice.
Yeah, it's just like a bunch of people who are friends, so I'm excited for that.
That's fun.
Yeah. But aside from that, like in my spare time, besides doing a lot of writing, I've been playing No Man's Sky again. Because that game is just addictive to me.
They just had a new update to it too, right?
They keep adding updates, and it's like, you guys can stop. The game is good now. Like, you're good. You're good. You don't have to you've got nothing to prove. Like, the game is great. But they keep doing updates, and this one's like, they added fishing. Like, literally, like today, they added fishing. So I'm like, all right, when we're done here, I'm gonna go build a skiff and go fishing.
Catch some space fish.
Catch some space. Well, like, honestly, if there was any game that ever deserves to have fishing as like a core mechanic, it's this game, because all the fish will be procedurally generated, and you can go to different planets and catch different fish, and that's awesome. That's so much more fun than like sitting there in Stardew Valley catching the same trout over and over again.
Right.
My girlfriend's gonna listen to this and hate me because she loves fishing. But anyway, so yeah, that, and then also, my friend Josh just gave me back my copy of Armored Core 6. So I need to get back into that, because that game, when you beat that game, you've only gotten like 20 to 30% of the story, and you have to play it again to get the rest of it, and then you have to play it a third time, and then a fourth time, and then a fifth time to get the rest of the story.
Whoa.
So yeah,
It's like Nier Automata.
it is like Nier Automata. Yeah, it is. So I'm like, all right, I'm like halfway through a second playthrough, but it also gets harder each time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna boot this game up and be like, all right, here we go, Armored Core 6 again, and get absolutely wrecked, like just completely destroyed. So I need to like practice a bit before I can get back into that. That game is awesome though.
Did that come out last year?
Yeah, it came out in I want to say, oh goodness, when did it come out? I want to say summertime of 24.
I've never played one of those.
I mean, of 23.
Looks cool.
Yeah,
it looks really cool.
It's very, very good. I love the Armored Core games, and I love From Software, and everything that they make is gold. So, yeah.
How about Evan? Evan, what you been into? Anything?
Unlike you, Anders, I have been enjoying Baldur's Gate 3 and not only beginning a new game with my brother-in-law, 2-player, but also beating my first solo foray. So,
wow.
Yeah, and I got a really bizarre ending.
Oh yeah.
I know that there's they say there's a ton of endings, but I think there's probably just minor iterations on maybe a handful of unique endings.
Yeah.
But I got one that was kind of cool. I felt like I was making the sacrifice play as the hero. And in a way I was expecting tragedy as a result, and then it didn't happen. And then there was a weird epilogue that I think was released later.
All the epilogues were added later. Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, the epilogue, that's cool. You have a chance to interact with people again, and then it went really bad because of what I had become.
Oh no, you'll have to tell me later. So, one-on-one what it was. Yeah.
I was making a lot of saves towards the end, where I could jump back to and make different decisions. So I painfully made a different decision to see if I get a better epilogue ending. So maybe I'll do that tonight. Maybe I'll see how it ends. But it was really cool. I loved that all throughout the game. I guess this is a little bit spoilery, but you have an opportunity to help people that you don't necessarily have to help, but it's just side quests and stuff. But they all show up. They all pledge to help you in the final battle, and it's really
so cool.
It's cool. You just walk into a room and they're all there waiting for you, and they're like, "Let's do this!" And they all have their moment they give a little speech, and you give a rousing speech, and then you go into the breach, and then you can have them help you, which is pretty cool. I didn't really use them a whole lot, but I like that there are options.
Yeah, I don't think they did a good job of making it clear, because you had really. I ended up in that same situation that we talked about a couple episodes ago of holding on to your explosives.
Your X potions.
I don't want to use this character because if they die, are they dead? How
long is this thing? Can I even, do I need to hold on to these powers? Is this going to be a long draw thing? But it ends up being super short.
Yeah.
So it's
I know.
You could have just blown through them all.
Well,
so I really regretted not having used any of those abilities. You didn't really need them.
There was also two, maybe there's more than two, but there's two opportunities I had where I was able to get these monstrosity creature, like an undead monstrosity, to help me. I got his bell, and when I ring his bell, he'll show up.
Oh yeah.
And then I got this ogres, a bell for a horn for an ogre.
Do those guys still show up all the way?
No, I was like, I'm gonna use these guys before I use the
they wouldn't show up.
Hit, and they didn't show up.
You can only use the ogre in Act 1, and you can only use the undead guy in the Gauntlet of Shar.
Yeah.
So
I wish that was made clear, because I was holding on to those the whole. But yeah, so I really enjoyed it. I thought there was some weird character motivations that didn't make sense to me at the end, but I feel like with multiple endings, it's probably hard to just make everything make sense and wrap it up.
I think the ending is really the only place where that game kind of falls down, personally. I thought it was kind of uninteresting final act. I guess the final act in Baldur's Gate was cool.
Mm-hmm.
But the climax, I thought was I don't know. It was fine. It wasn't as good as Baldur's Gate 1 or 2, let's just say.
I was just happy that I finally beat it, because it's been sitting there almost beat for so long, and in the back of my mind. So, but then before I even beat it, I started replaying from the beginning with my brother-in-law as different. I'm playing as a bard, and my brother-in-law is playing as a monk. So
multiplayer is so fun.
What's fun?
Multiplayer.
Oh yeah.
In that game
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. So my first experience playing through the ending was when I was playing with my brother, and he was playing as an orc fighter, and he had essentially was paying attention to the same level of his orc fighter would be, if you catch my drift. So we get to that same part where there's like all the people that you've been helping, and we've been playing like good characters. We've been helping people, and he's like, "Oh yeah, it's that guy."
What's his name?
Like,
yeah.
Oh yeah, and that other guy.
Yeah,
like,
there was a little bit of that for me too.
we just went through this.
Alrighty, Andrew, Black Myth.
Yes,
playing that game still.
Yeah, I'm still playing Black Myth Wukong Wukong or Wu. I want to say there's some other way of pronouncing it. Wukong, something like that. Yeah,
Black
I'm
Myth
not sure
Wukong.
where you put I'm not sure where you put the emphasis.
Well, in the Japanese, the kanji that is Wukong is just Goku.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, Goku, like Son Goku from Dragon Ball Z, is inspired by the same myth as Wukong, the character.
Oh, yeah, the Monkey King.
That's the Monkey
cool.
King.
Yeah,
that's
why it's pretty cool. So I think last time I said this game might be too difficult for me. It is not too difficult for me.
Ooh, you got good. You get good.
Yeah, I'm getting the hang. You get over it, and then you're good.
Yeah, so it reminded me a lot. So the first Souls game I played was Dark Souls 2.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. I didn't play Demon Souls because when Demon Souls came out, it was weird, and there was like,
oh yeah, like no one played Demon Souls.
No one quite knew what to think about,
except for me.
And it looked miserable.
Yep.
But Dark Souls came out, and then I was talking to people about it, and it was like, I was like, is it fun? And they're like, yeah, it's fun.
like,
yeah, it's fun. It's challenging. So anyway, when Dark Souls 2 came out, I was like, I'll just start with this, and I was really impressed with how that game taught you how to play it through beating the crap out of you.
Yeah.
Because it's very fair. It never really catches you off guard with anything that once you see it for the first time, like the next time you see it, you'll be like, okay, I understand what's happening here. The animations all make sense.
Mm-hmm.
The timing of your attacks and blocks and dodges, like it's all very tight. So you feel like if you do poorly, it's your fault. It's not the game. It's just screwing you. And when I first started playing that, I was kind of like hitting banging my head against the wall, not really getting very far, just dying a lot. And that is totally the way that this game started for me as well. And so it has a very, very similar learning process where you just kind of get beat up and then learn the rules of the game as you're getting beat up. And then it does a really good job, though. I think it may be even a better job than those Souls games did. It's more like what they did with Elden Ring, but it's not as open. But it's similar in Elden Ring to where if you get stuck in one place, you can kind of go over to this other place instead and spend some time there. Like fight some, lower level dudes and learn how to play a little bit, or find this other boss that's over here and fight them instead.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also far more forgiving than a Souls game because you don't ever lose any progress. Like you never lose your souls and have to go get them and like die on the way, and all the progression is just gone. So as you're going around and figuring out how to play and then like fighting like all the little monsters, you're gaining tons of experience. So you're constantly like leveling up. So it kind of has like this open arena where you first start this like relatively small map that you can kind of walk around and find new stuff. There's all sorts of like little hidden areas in the level. But as you're doing that, you're leveling up. So like if you were really good at the game from the beginning, you'd probably just blow through all these bosses and then you just, keep moving along. But if, like me, there was a bit of a learning curve that needed to be followed. It took me a minute. But so then as I was learning to play, I was also becoming more powerful. So eventually the game just kind of got to this point where I was like at a power level where I could fight these bosses that I was kind of stuck at, where I could do enough damage to them and not take a bunch of damage and have more skills and abilities to get past them. And then once I got over that initial hump, the initial boss hump, everything after that has been, I think, far easier. I think and not because the bosses are easier, but just because I understand more how to play.
And it's
anyway, I really like it. I'm fighting a giant rat man right now.
Nice. Do you have any idea how far you are into the game?
I'm only like in chapter 2. I have no idea how long the game is, but yeah, it's very cool. I think the one thing I don't like about it, and so it's for me to like it, I think is saying something because it's just a bunch of boss fights. Like I think even more so than Dark Souls. But it's more kind of like kung fu actiony, very very fast paced. Like it really rewards being aggressive.
Is there much story?
Oh yeah. The story is phenomenal.
Cool.
The way it's presented is amazing. They did this really cool like animated music video at the end of the first chapter that totally took me by surprise.
Nice.
It was great.
Cool.
I was like, this is awesome. I think my one criticism of it is I feel like the level design so far feel like early 3D action game world designs. So like they're relatively small spaces.
Yeah, it looks that way.
And there's too many invisible walls.
Oh,
yeah.
I hate that.
Oh, yeah.
It's like we've been it's like in the past, you just knew that there were invisible walls because that's how all video game levels were made. So when you came across, like, you started just kind of like going against this smooth surface, even though there's clearly a vista and like a hill you could just run over. It didn't bother you. But since then we've been trained that anywhere you can see, you can go.
Yeah.
So it's really, I don't know. That's the one thing that's every time I encounter one of these invisible walls, I'm like, gosh, I just want to go that way. I just want to go over there. You can't do it.
Yeah.
But it makes exploration a lot easier. Because it is a more finite space. So that's kind of nice. But yeah, it's definitely old school in that way.
Is it like Devil May Cry where the environment is basically just like, here's a fight room, here's a fight room, here's a fight room, and like linked by passageways? Or
pretty much. Okay. Yeah. Except if you imagine the passageways as like have all these little nooks and crannies that you can explore.
Okay.
It's not quite as on rails, but the open worldness of it is far more limited than like an Elden Ring, for example.
Yeah,
it's good.
It's hard to beat Elden Ring with open world.
Yeah, I really like it a lot. I like it a lot. It's cool. It's got very very cool enemy designs and boss designs and boss fights and animations and stuff. It's phenomenal.
He's a cool looking monkey king.
Yeah, he's a cool looking monkey guy. Yeah.
I saw one gameplay clip on Twitter that I won't spoil for you, that makes me want to play it. Like, there was one gameplay clip that I saw, I was like, oh, that's cool. It's like a boss fight, and I was like, oh, that's really cool.
Yeah. I think based on the games that you play, I think you'd enjoy it.
It feels like a kind of game that I would like, yeah. I like action games, and I like Souls games, and I like Devil May Cry sort of games. So it sounds like it's up my alley. Yeah.
Is it a Chinese studio, or who made it?
Yes. Yeah. It's not a studio I've heard of before.
I think it's their first game.
Yeah.
Maybe I could be wrong.
It's very good. But then next week, Space Marine 2 comes out. So
does that come out next week?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! All right.
So I don't know.
Oh boy.
Once that comes out, I might just switch over and just play that. We'll see.
Are you guys gonna?
It's gonna be tough for me to not pick that up.
Yeah.
Are you gonna play the Star Wars game? Or no?
No. It looks terrible.
Does
Everything
it?
I've seen looks awful.
Really?
It just looks so boring. I don't know. It is very broken. It's suffering from one of those like released too early,
Oh, okay.
totally jacked up. Maybe play it later when it's on sale and fixed.
Mm.
I think I'll probably play it later. Yeah.
I don't have much of an opinion. I have a weird relationship with Star Wars. I think it's one of the reasons why I did like The Last Jedi is because like Luke isn't my hero. So it's like my relationship with Star Wars is very weird. I like all the stuff that people don't like, and I don't like any of the stuff that people like.
Would you say you have a situationship with Star Wars?
I have like a love-hate relationship with Star Wars. I loved The Acolyte. I thought The Acolyte was a fantastic show, and then it got canceled immediately. I don't understand. I don't get it. And then like everyone's like, oh, Ahsoka, and I'm like, I don't care about Ahsoka. I don't know who Ahsoka is. I don't care. I never watched Rebels. Like And
then there's one faction that's like Andor is the best one. You don't.
That's me.
Yeah.
I've heard
really
good things about Andor. Yeah, I've heard Andor is actually pretty good. So I need to check that out.
I think that's the only Star Wars show worth watching.
Mm.
Well, on that note, thanks for joining us, everybody. It's been a great episode.
My thoughts on Andor are clear.
It's been a Maxine heavy podcast, and I love that.
Heck yeah.
You shined.
Thank you.
All right. See you all next time. Reach out to us. Give us some questions. We need them. Okay. Goodbye.